threw up a series of interesting comments, and I think we identified a number of questions that we need to deal with in order to be able to take clear messages to the IGF in September in Kenya, touching wood and hoping that that is the arrangement that is eventually confirmed. There was discussion about equality of arms in contractual relationships, issues of trust, shared services, which means shares of responsibilities, which of course is something that exists in the world of arrangements and contracts offline as well as online. And part of the discussion was how do things change? What is essential and what isn't? And I think some of the key points that it came down to for me was that it's down to good governance, the message that simplicity is crucial, with everyone knowing what they're responsible for and what they're not responsible for. In the discussion, it was suggested that 4 headings that we need to concentrate on are the legal framework, open standards, a clear service model, and quality of governance. And issues that came up, which we need to address within the model of developments, are security of data, management of data, contractual systems, that is the legal requirements, fairness in the sense of equality in the law between unequal parties, and how we apply existing principles, for instance, on data management in a new environment. Interesting listening in this context to the simple question of who is the data controller and the way in which it's moved into the questions being more complex. The point was made that many of the arrangements are not just business to business. The supplier will have individuals in key positions. There's a need for expertise. There's a need to be confident about the ethical approaches, and there's a need to be clear about continuity, particularly in relation to changes of personnel and staff. And it also comes down to an individual professionalism, code of conduct, if you like. It was suggested that we shouldn't talk about the cloud because there are a variety of different clouds, and that makes it sounds too all-pervasive. But it always comes back to security and balancing the issues of security with the major advantages and the revenue management that is at the heart of making use of the cloud. So, questions: how does the end user assess the assurance given by providers? Is the cloud dominated by big international companies, and is that a good thing or a bad thing? Does that lead to clarity of standards, perhaps, and a degree of integrity? And we came back to the old issue of who should be dealing with this. One comment was that the International Postal Union sorted out snail mail. Is it different? And of course, part of the agenda right from the beginning of the establishment of the IGF is yes, it's different and it shouldn't be governed in a central and bureaucratic way. Suggested that perhaps what we need is international definition, for instance, of tiers, of competencies, kite marks, and the challenges of dealing with the physical, the logical or logistical, and the integrity of processes. And there was certainly a feeling in the group that there is a sense of urgency, particularly in relation to the attempts at the present time to end the multi-stakeholder model which the IGF has developed over the last few years, and that in some cases there's a wish to see state-led answers to the issues, whereas many of the services are not run by government departments, which, going back to the original question, was the case when the International Postal Union was set up, for instance, and indeed the ITU. And therefore those sorts of agreements between government agencies model is no longer appropriate. There was reference to work on cloud standards in the EU. again an underlining of the assurance issues and the kite mark sort of model. As I say, I stepped into this rather at the end, and I hope that is somewhere near the outcomes. Basically, simplicity of advice, depending on verification of standards, and the need for a simple framework and clarity on what words mean and definitions of the standards. And what the challenge is going forward to the IGF is the building of consensus, how to develop clear proposals and to keep it simple, as has happened with the principles for data protection in the UK. So seeking that sort of consensus and seeking the opportunity to provide a sort of UK standard and then internationalise it, perhaps, is one way forward. And it was suggested that work should be done between now and the IGF. A number of participants in the group signed up by providing an email contact to be part of further discussion on these issues. And we will pass this back to Nominate, and perhaps if others want to be part of that, they could then indicate.